23rd of June 2022, that was when Bill C19 received the royal assent, and we've been talking about it ever since that happened, that Bill C19 is going to come, it's going to come. And finally, today, Minister Sean Fraser, or through IRCC, this announcement was finally made that the Bill C19, or Canada is launching the category-based draws soon. And this announcement obviously has caused a lot of ruffles, so many questions, so many concerns. And here, that's the reason I am here to sort of give you a bit of an insight of what I think. A lot of it is opinion-based because, hey, that's how it is, right? But a lot of it is also interpretation of what it means so that I can share that insight with you. Today, as I said this morning, I think when I was driving to work, that is when this announcement came. It popped up suddenly. And while I was driving, thankfully, my brother was sitting next to me. I had to ask him, read it, because I knew what it was. And definitely that's what it meant. All of the information that we have today was anticipated, except for a few snippets here and there, and that's what has surprised me as well. It's quite exciting to sort of hear that. But while we will be talking about all of that, there is so much of anxiety around this as to what will happen. Will the express entry draws continue? This category-based draws will stop everything. Will it make it more difficult? Will it make it more easier? What happens to the international student? What happens to people outside? Is this the end of express entry, etc., etc., etc.? So, you know what? While I was preparing for today's this broadcast, I did put together a small presentation so that I can remember what I want to talk to you about, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add this. It will help me also keep everything on track. So Canada today launches the category-based draws. What is category-based draws? Category-based draws was basically they are category-based selections that will allow Canada to issue invitations to apply to prospective immigrants or prospective permanent residents with specific skills, trainings, or language ability. Now, what it basically means is when the Bill C19 was launched in the Parliament last year, it started in the month of April. Then there were a lot of deliberations in the Parliament. Eventually, it was approved, and then that's when it received the royal assent. It was all about the Minister of Immigration getting more authority, more power in making choices as to who they wish to bring into Canada based on certain categories. Now, these categories were intended to be dependent on the education, dependent on the occupation, like NOC-based, based on the language, based on where they would want to live in Canada, where they would want to eventually settle down, a combination of all this. And therefore, now we have those categories. So when they started conducting the stakeholder meetings so that they could discuss which categories should be announced, we already had a bit of if you want to call it an inkling as to what exactly these occupations would be. And this hasn't surprised us one bit. Let's take a look at that. The categories chosen for this year, 2023. So what that basically means is each year the categories can be changed, may be changed, will be changed. They can also be changed within as the year progresses. I don't think that will happen. They primarily will remain the same for the whole year, but this is the first time this is going to happen. So let's not take this as written in stone or set in stone at this point of time. But for this year, because we are already in the month of actually starting June very soon, in some parts of the world, it's already June. So we are already 5 months gone. The categories for 2023, French language proficiency. Obviously, it has been one of the mandates of the immigration as well for the immigration minister that they have to encourage Francophone immigration. And if you are at all subscriber of this channel and if you've been watching my videos, I have been like screaming, get on with the French language, get on with it, right? And this is where it is coming through. French language proficiency is going to be a big, big, big deal. It gives you points in express entry. It gives you points in Saskatchewan. It gives you advantage with the Francophone work permit international mobility program. And here you are. Now it is also giving you advantage within the category-based draws. Second is the healthcare occupation. Third is the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math occupations. Trade occupations, transport occupations, agriculture, and agri-food occupations. These are the 6 categories that have been already announced at this point of time for 2023. If I want to talk to you about the specific NOC codes, let's look at the NOC codes. Let me add that first, right? So these are the healthcare NOC codes. Now, there's no point for me to take you through each of these NOC codes because there are just a lot of them. Okay, but just to very quickly go through them, you have the dentists, you have the dietitians, you have education counselors, the GPs, the family physicians, massage therapists, optometrists, etc., etc. I can keep going on and on. I'm going to quickly scroll through the list so you can get an idea as well. The traditional Chinese medical practitioners are there as well, specialists in surgeries. Then you come to the STEM occupations, science, technology, engineering, math occupations category. Architects are there. Civil engineers are there. Computer system information managers are there. Okay, hold on, screen. Hold on, what's happening with you? Okay, I'm not sure what happens with there. All right, so seems like my screen is somewhat crashing. All right, I'm just gonna shut this off because this, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. All right, so the list of occupations, instead I can show you directly on the screen on the IRCC website as well. Okay, so let's get on to that one. There you go. Don't worry about the links of these websites. They are all in the description box. You can always find them. So this is the express entry round of invitations, category-based selection. This is how it will be selected. You have to have the ability to communicate in specific English language. But as I scroll down, and I'll take you through this again. You can sort of click on any of these occupations or on the categories. It will tell you. If you click on French language proficiency, it says you should have a French language test results and show a minimum score of 7 in all the 4 language abilities, which basically tells you what you need to score for you to be eligible. In healthcare occupations, as we were going through all that list, it's a long list. And then again, you have science, technology, engineering, and math occupations. Again, long list, 3 pages long. You have obviously they had to include the IT, right? So IT is there. I think most of the NOC codes of IT are there. You also have mathematicians there. You have software engineers, designers, web designers, developers. As I said, they will all be included. Data scientists, most of the IT NOC codes are there. Moving forward, in the trade occupations. In the trade occupations, again, you have some of the fitters, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, welders, contractors. Not a whole lot there. Not too many occupations, just NOC codes, categories tier 3 and 2. But not too many NOC codes there. I'm quite surprised with that one. Transport occupations. So in the transport occupations, you have the transport truck drivers. This was obviously anticipated. Water transport deck officers, air traffic controllers, air pilots, engineers, and flying instructors. Now, this has been one category that a lot of people have been asking about. Do aircraft pilots, airline pilots get any special treatment? Well, there you go. This is another category where they have been included. And then you have managers in transportation, just 1 page of NOC codes there. And finally, the agriculture and agri-food occupations. Again, not too many NOC codes, just 3 NOC codes there. Butchers, retail, and wholesale are the only otherwise category that has been included. So as you can see, not a lot of NOC codes in a lot of other categories. I think there are roughly about 83 NOC codes that have been identified. Not a whole lot. Now, what that will do is, how IRCC will conduct the draws, we don't know at this point of time. But let's go through that small presentation I had prepared, right? So these are the NOC codes, or rather, these are the occupations or categories that have been identified. The first category-based invitation to apply are expected to be sent this summer. That is one question that has been creeping up since morning as to when will these draws start? Can we anticipate from the next draw? Can we not anticipate from the next draw? Well, first draws as per IRCC. And again, where does it say this? Let me bring you back to the IRCC website first, right? Because you should always hear it from the horse's mouth. So on the IRCC website, as I'll scroll down, again, as I said, the description, the links of these are in the description. This is where it says, the first category-based invitations to apply are expected to be sent this summer. It's already there on the IRCC website, so you will not have an issue trying to find this. But what will happen with this is, the official summer dates in Canada starts from the 21st of June and they go on until the 23rd of September. So while it's already pretty hot outside, it's still not officially the summer. It's now 21st of June. So 21st of June is a Wednesday. Can we expect a draw on 21st of June? 3 weeks from now. clock is ticking. However, the next express entry draw is expected on the 7th of June. That's when we are expecting the next express entry draw, 7th of June. After the 7th of June, the next draw after that is anticipated to be on the 21st of June. So 21st of June is going to be quite a stressful or a tensed day, I would say. The jitters are always there on a draw day, but this one is going to be even more. My opinion to a lot of you out there who get express entry invitations and they go on and decline those invitations, please do not decline your ITAs. You just do not know when the next draw is going to happen and if you will get invited again. So I expect to see not too many people hopefully refusing or declining their ITA so that they can stick with this one. So going with that, the next draw, whenever it happens, the express entry draw, which is on the 7th of June as anticipated, I expect to see a regular express entry draw, probably with a 3,500 kind of an invitation. And let's see what the scores come up there. If it's 3,500 invitation draw, then I'm anticipating the scores to be in the range of 486-ish, 487-ish, similar to that, because it all depends on how many invitations and how many invitations, and if IRCC actually conducts the draw on the 7th of June or not, and how many people actually join or rather are added to the pool. Who will get invited with this category-based draws? What is the eligibility? What are the NOC codes? What are the CRS codes? The NOC codes I've already told you. So you already know what the NOC codes are, 83 NOC codes of them. The eligibility that a lot of people are wondering, is this going to be for inside Canada, outside Canada? Well, IRCC has already clarified that the work experience that they're looking for can be inside Canada, can be outside Canada. The eligibility criteria remains the same as it is in express entry because, hey guys, remember, the programs are not different. First of all, a lot of people confuse. Express entry is not a program. This is not a new program. The IRCC is not starting a new program altogether. They've only made a change within the express entry system. Express entry system is a file management system. It manages the files that are submitted in the express entry by the programs, which are Federal Skilled Worker, Canadian Experience Class, Federal Skilled Trade categories. Only 3 programs. Provincial nominee is not a program in express entry. It is just a category. All right. Now, within the express entry system, which is the file management system, and within the 3 programs, Federal Skilled Worker, Federal Skilled Trade categories, and Canadian Experience Class, they have made the change of making several more categories so they can then invite from these categories. That's the only change. So it's not a new program. The eligibility remains the same. If you are a federal skilled worker, you need to be eligible in express entry as a federal skilled worker. So you have to have at least 1 year of continuous work experience. You have to have your proof of funds. What else is there? You have to have work experience in one of the NOC codes. You have to score 67 points under the selection factor. If all of this is good for you, then you would be eligible in the express entry under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. Canadian Experience Class, again, not rocket science. Most of you already know what the eligibility criteria is. You have to have 1 year of work experience in Canada under NOC code 0, 1, 2, 3 tier codes, and this should be within the last 3 years. Federal Skilled Trade categories has a different criteria altogether. You have to have work experience in a trade category. After having obtained a license, you should have a job offer or you should have a certificate of qualification from Canada. So these are the different criteria of these 3 programs. The eligibility doesn't change. The only thing which changes is that in order to be eligible for these category-based draws, you should have at least 6 months of work experience in one of these categories. Now, this is very confusing, right? How can you have 6 months of work experience in a category, in a priority occupation and still be eligible? How will that happen, right? The thing is, with the Canadian Experience Class, this is possible because in Canadian Experience Class, you don't really need 1 year of continuous work experience. Now, people are saying, what is 6 months? Is it a typo for 1 year? No, it is not a typo. Let me show it to you where it is saying that, because this is creating a lot of confusion for people. Let's start with this one. First of all, let's get to the bottom of it first of all. So once I get to this IRCC website, which says express entry round of invitations, category-based selection. And as I said, the link is in the description. Don't have to worry about this. As you will scroll down, because most of it you already know, there is nothing there. It's all basic general text, right? Now, when it says who is eligible, if I click on healthcare occupations, and then it gives me all these NOC codes. But if I bring it up here, it says, have accumulated within the past 3 years at least 6 months of continuous work experience in Canada or abroad in a single occupation listed in the table below. Now, this is where it gets tricky. 6 months is good for if you are inside Canada for Canadian experience class, because you can choose that NOC code even if you have 6 months of work experience as your primary NOC code. This is where it will become very, very tricky. If you are a federal skilled worker, if you have 6 months of work experience, you cannot choose that as your primary NOC code, because the system will treat you as ineligible, because fundamentally, first you have to be eligible in express entry, then you have to be eligible in the category-based draws. Make sense? I don't want to confuse you. I know this can get a bit more, because this can be a bit difficult to understand. So once again, let's start with this. If you're a Canadian experience class, you have work experience in one of these NOC codes that have been identified. Even if it is for 6 months, you can choose this as your primary NOC code. But if you are FSTC, Federal Skilled Trade Category, or Federal Skilled Worker, then you cannot choose this as your primary NOC code. If you have only 6 months of work experience, you have to have at least 1 year of work experience. But to be eligible for this category based, only 6 months is enough. What this basically means is, in Canada, work experience preference, that is what it is indicating to. And that's what I think it is indicating to. However, even if you're outside Canada, your work experience will still count. So the work experience, whether it's inside Canada, outside Canada, will not matter. You have to have at least 6 months of continuous work experience. But if you're outside Canada, if you're a federal skilled worker, you cannot choose that as your primary NOC code if you have only 6 months. You have to have at least 1 year. I hope I have clarified that for you. This 6 months continuous work experience advantage is for people who are inside Canada, not for people who are outside Canada. Okay, so let's get back to this one again. The CRS score, how will that happen? Once they have identified the which they've already done this, identified the categories. Now, when they choose to conduct the draws, it is not necessary. It is not imperative that they will conduct draws for all the categories at the same time. There are 83 NOC codes. That is a lot of NOC codes. It all depends on what is going to be the how many invitations they choose to issue. If they choose to invite all 83 NOC codes, I don't expect the scores to drop a lot. Yes, of course it will drop, no doubt about it, because right now we have more than 230,000 people approximately, give or take, in the express entry pool. Now, if they have chosen only 83 NOC codes and only decide to invite them, depend on how many invitations they will issue, without a doubt the score is going to drop. But I also have a feeling there could be an additional component that might come, because at the end of the day, they will say that you have to, again, coming back to this one, it says the eligibility, you have to meet all the requirements in the instructions for that round. Obviously, we don't have the instructions right now. When the round is conducted, when the draws are conducted, they will issue instructions. They would issue instructions specific to that round of invitations. And that is where we will get more clarity as to who they're inviting and what is the criteria. But at this point of time, from what we know, that they would conduct the category-based draws within that category, depending on how many people are there, and they choose to invite, let's say, 1,000 people, 2,000 people, or 3,000 invitations. And depending on how many people are there at that point of time, the scores could really plummet. And this would give advantage to people who are in all these 83 occupations. So if you are one of those people who is still waiting on the fence, should I create my express entry profile? Should I do it, not do it later, do it tomorrow? Don't think. Create a profile right now, because, hey, tiebreaker rule can still impact you, can still affect you. So the sooner you create your express entry profile, the better off you would be. So this is as far as who will get invited. I hope you have clarity on that. Now, the biggest question that has been coming up the whole day today, will the regular express entry draws continue? What will be the impact of these on the regular express entry draws? A good question, I would say. Let me take you down to this screenshot. Now, again, the link of this website is in the description, so you don't have to worry about where can I see this. I want to see the official source. Don't worry about it. I will never quote you something which is not official. This is already in the description box. Now, what it says here, it is highlighted in blue. It says it will, what is a category-based selection? And after they've explained what is a category-based selection, it says it will comprise a portion of overall invitations to apply and invitations based on the comprehensive ranking system scores and individual programs will remain. Now, in my opinion, and it's an opinion because that's what I'm reading, unless I'm reading it incorrectly, and I'm sure there are so many of you out there who probably will read better, but you can help me understand this if I'm reading it differently. But what I am understanding from this is that the regular express entry draws will continue. Okay, I don't see any reason why the draws should not continue or would not continue. And the only thing that and how this will impact express entry draws is that the number of invitations are going to get distributed. Okay, if there are category based draws and there are regular express entry draws, I expect the invitations to get distributed. I mean, we are already seeing a similar kind of draws. For example, we see it in British Columbia when they do the BC PNP draws. We have seen it in Manitoba when they conduct their Manitoba PNP draws. They invite people under the occupation specific, and then they invite people with no occupation specific, right? So they've invited certain categories and they've invited general draws. So the provinces are already doing these kind of draws. Now, seems like IRCC will also start conducting these draws in express entry. The only thing is that the only difference is going to be is that the number of invitations is going to get distributed. So now that you see 3,500 invitations coming for express entry draw, all of them general, now that is going to get distributed, which basically means you may have, again, just a speculation. For example, you may have only 1,000 invitations for the regular express entry, 2,500 for the category-based draws, or vice versa. 1,000 invitations for category-based draws and 2,500 for the regular general express entry draws. In that situation, because at the end of the day, they cannot only call the categories, because it's not like that for the next 5, 6, 7 months, they will only invite 83 categories. It's not possible. It's not like ours. The Canada doesn't need accountants or marketing professionals or HR or recruitment or admin or so many other occupations. It's not like that, right? It's just that at this point of time, the priority is for this occupation. So please do not freak out if you are from other occupations. Yes, but what this is going to do, in my opinion only, is that it is going to keep the CRS scores high, very high. It's obvious, right? I mean, we know the game, how it is played. We know all how it has been happening. The more the invitations, the lower the score. The less the number of invitations, the higher the score. So the impact that I see on this express entry draws with this segregation of invitations is that the CRS score is going to be on the high side, but the regular express entry draws, in my opinion, will continue. Now, there has been a lot of question about what happens or where is the advantage for inside Canada? Where is the advantage for the international students? Where is the advantage for the people who are working inside Canada? Hey guys, this is going to give you the advantage, because if you are working inside Canada, already you have additional points, right? You get points for Canadian work experience. You get points for job offer. You get points for Canadian education. So you already have additional points. With these occupation-based draws or category-based draws, the fact that you already have additional points and the scores going slightly down or quite down depending on how many invitations, even with the lower CRS scores, now you will have that opportunity to get invited. So that is one advantage straight away coming forward. Secondly, the minute they have identified 6 months of work experience as the priority, as the requirement, that also is a direct indicator of somebody who is looking at inviting people inside Canada. Because, for example, if you are inside Canada and if you're thinking, how can I take advantage? If you can now very quickly find a job with an employer in any of these 83 NOC codes and work for the next 6 months within this year, by December, you will become eligible. By November, December, you will become eligible for one of those category-based draws, right? So you have an advantage to look at, right? So I would say you should give it a thought. You should give it a look, because being inside Canada is going to be of advantage for sure. Now, what is the difference between the PNP draws and express entry draws? Because it's looking exactly the same. It's looking exactly like what Ontario has been conducting, right? Remember the tech draw and then the healthcare draw. What's the difference? For example, British Columbia, BC PNP Tech Pilot, right? They're also inviting the same NOC codes. They're also inviting the same healthcare occupations. So where is the difference between the PNP draws and express entry draws? I am stumped. I don't see any difference, to be very honest. What I only see is that this is going to be beneficial. And how is it going to be beneficial? One, you will see the scores within the provinces also dropping, because automatically it's going to have a cascading effect. Second, Ontario at this point of time conducts their draws in human capital priorities in tandem with express entry. So for example, the last draw that they conducted in human capital priorities, their higher score was 482, because at that point of time, the express entry draw was at 483. Now, with segregated draws, with different category-based draws, Ontario can no longer stick to the higher range of express entry draw, because there will be varying draws within express entry itself. So who are they going to pitch it with? Which point are they going to pitch it with? Plus, if express entry itself is inviting the same NOC codes, then how does it give advantage to Ontario? Because nobody would want to take Ontario PNP, right? Why would you pay $1,500 to get the nomination which you are getting directly through express entry? So two things are going to happen. One, that Ontario will change the occupations and start inviting the general occupations which they haven't invited for more than a year already. Okay, so your accounting, your consulting, your advertising, your admin jobs, all those jobs that they haven't invited for more than 1 year, they automatically get an opportunity. That is one advantage that I can see right away. Second advantage that I see is that within these occupations, the scores will further drop in Ontario PNP, because that's the obvious, or rather more logical way of looking at it. In both scenarios, it is going to give advantage to scores of people out there. Similarly, provinces like Saskatchewan, who in the recent draws have been targeting IT NOC codes, right? They've been inviting only those NOC codes. The scores are going down to 67, 68 points. Again, if IRCC is going to be inviting the same NOC codes, then Saskatchewan, those people have no reason to take Saskatchewan ITAs, right? Or to go through that application. So you will see Saskatchewan, either the scores dropping or they concentrating on other NOC codes that they wish to invite. Same thing with BCPNP, right? Alberta, accelerated tech pilot, where people are getting jobs in IT because they're getting job offers over there. So all these occupations, all these provinces, they're going to realign their programs. They have to rethink, they are going to re-strategize. So we will be seeing a lot of changes within the PNP programs as well, because it is obvious either the programs will change or the scores will drop. In both situations, in both scenarios, it is advantageous for you guys. So don't freak out. There is still a light at the end of the tunnel. There is always that silver lining, because I say forever hopeful for a reason, right? There has to be something out there. So what happens to everyone else whose NOC is not listed? This is one question I just do not know how to answer, because I really don't know, because I have been also saying this, that the PR process is becoming difficult. So the process is not becoming difficult. The process has been the same. It's just that it's a rat race, yes, no doubt about it. And it's a demand versus supply situation. The supply is limited. The quotas of the PR immigration are limited. The demand is gone through the roof. There are more and more people who would like to become permanent residents. I recently tweeted and I said that there are more than nearly 2 million people inside Canada who are temporary residents who would all be wanting to become permanent residents. The available quotas for PR are roughly 10% of these people. So at this point of time, for this year, it's about 266,000 economic pathways quota. And if there are 2 million people, basically means about 10 to 12% will have a pathway. That is if everybody's inside Canada, but there are also people coming from outside Canada. So it's going to be difficult. For everybody else whose NOC code is not listed, as I still say, stay forever hopeful, because that's the way I am. I've just explained to you how the PNPs are going to be looking to either realign or strategize or change their programs. That is something which you have to keep your eyes on. French, I have been saying this for a very long time, and I think I will say this again. I will reiterate that if you can take up French as a second language, it will greatly improve your chances right away. You have to score 7 in all factors. Using that, you would have an advantage. You would have a possibility. Not only that, if you have French as a second language, you can also get a work permit LMIA exempt under the Francophone International Mobility Program. So you have those options there as well. In addition to that, as I said, keep your eyes open, keep looking at Ontario, keep looking at Saskatchewan, keep looking at Alberta, keep looking at BC, not BC as much because they need a job offer, not Manitoba because they need a job offer, but these three provinces, Alberta, Ontario, Saskatchewan, these are going to be very, very crucial in terms of how it opens up opportunities for people who are otherwise not going to be included in this 83 NOC codes. Not only that, I absolutely am of the opinion that these NOC codes that IRCC has identified, they will not stay constant. They are not set in stone. They will change. They obviously have to change. There is no way that IRCC can only invite these NOC codes. So these numbers will keep changing. These positions will keep changing. And as and how we progress, you would definitely be looking at different NOC codes. As I said, IRCC has to also IRCC also has to announce in advance what the occupations are going to be. So if you're inside Canada, you will always have that advantage. These occupations, these categories will always be announced earlier. So you will still have, if the 6-month work experience requirement is there, you will have that time to find jobs within that period of time, within that field of work, where you can then become eligible. So I think it's something which can become very, very crucial and very, very helpful for people who are inside Canada looking to sort of find work experience within these NOC codes and then hop on to this train. At this point of time, this is what I wanted to bring it to you so that this helps you understand what is happening with this recent change. Lots of questions here, and please, by all means, after this video, post them in the comments below and I will be happy to come back and answer to as many as I can. I have tried and answered most of the questions that have been ringing up since morning, and I hope I have covered the one that you have as well. I wasn't looking to take any super chats, but there is one, so we'll just clear that. Is single SOP document enough for student and SOWP visa application? Yes, if you cover both the aspects of your application, then single SOP is enough, or you could make different SOPs as well, because at the end of the day, when you're creating the application, you will have placeholders for both the different applications, and you can then individually or separately upload the SOP for each of those application types. Thank you so much for joining in. It has been a pleasure once again bringing this to you. Like, share, subscribe, as they say, and I shall see you next time. Take care and good night.